If you are African, especially born in certain regions, there is a high chance that you heard of MTN. You probably already use their networks to make calls and to send money. But they don't just sell data. They are a telecom giant that shape African economies. But how? How does MTN influence your governments, your life, and business? Especially in the majority of African countries and even in Middle Eastern countries, the way money is moved. They are part of the infrastructure that is connecting more than just money. They are shaping policies. They are shaping your life. The rise. Before you understand how they shape your life and business, we must start right at the beginning, as MTNs didn't begin with just data bundles or mobile money. It began in 1994, the same year South Africa held its first democratic election. While the world focused on politics, a small group of South African entrepreneurs saw something else, a once-in-a-generation opportunity to build the continent's most powerful telecom infrastructure. And the system is designed so well that you are part of it. The company that would become MTN started as MCell, founded in Johannesburg by Lena Jaitley, a businesswoman that understood that post-apartheid South Africa needed modern telecom infrastructure. Lena Jaitley wasn't a global mogul yet, but what she had was timing, capital, and a vision. She secured early backing from South African corporate heavyweights, including Koos Bekker, the Naspers executive who would later become one of Africa's most influential tech investors. Koos Bekker's involvement signaled something important. MTN wasn't just a startup. It was a strategic national project, something that clearly was needed in an economy a few years after post-apartheid, and a few years after Nelson Mandela was released from prison. But the real architect of MTN's continental dominance arrived later. His name is Phuthuma Nhleko, an engineer by training, with a civil engineering degree from Ohio State University and an MBA from Atlanta University. Before MTN, he worked in corporate finance and founded Worldwide African Investment Holdings. Phuthuma Nhleko thought like an engineer, negotiated like a financier, and executed like a strategist. When he eventually became CEO in 2002, he would transform MTN from a regional operator into a geopolitical force. However, before Phuthuma Nhleko era, MTN's early expansion was driven by Irene Charnley, a former trade unionist turned corporate negotiator. As executive director from 1996 to 2001, she secured MTN's first major licenses in Uganda, Rwanda, and Cameroon. Irene Charnley understood something global telecom giants ignored. African countries were hungry for connectivity, and whoever built the infrastructure first would shape the continent's economic future. If you grew up in East or Central Africa, your first mobile call may have been made on a network she negotiated. Then came the moment that changed everything. Nigeria, 2001. MTN paid $285 million for a GSM license, the largest investment in Nigerian telecom history at the time. The risk was enormous. Nigeria was unpredictable and recovering from decades of military rule. But the reward was even bigger. Within a decade, MTN Nigeria became the company's most profitable operation, serving tens of millions of subscribers. If you're Nigerian, MTN didn't just enter your life. It became part of your daily routine. So when Phuthuma Nhleko took over as CEO in 2002, he expanded MTN into Ghana, Benin, Côte d'Ivoire, Sudan, Yemen, Syria, Afghanistan, and Iran. These weren't easy markets. They were politically volatile, economically complex, and geopolitically sensitive. But Phuthuma Nhleko understood a principle that still shapes your life today. Telecom infrastructure is power. Whoever controls the network controls communication, data, and eventually wealth. Even though telecom infrastructure is pivotal for any country, especially in African countries, by the 2010s, MTN had evolved into more than a telecom operator. It became a financial institution, a policy influencer, and a geopolitical actor. And whether you're sending money, running a business, or simply trying to stay connected, you are operating inside a system built by these 6 individuals and the institutions they shaped. But this meant that they had challenges. What challenges do you believe they went through? The challenges. Clearly, from MTN's rise, they had some challenges. And if you've ever tried to build a business in the African market, let alone just any African country, a business, a career, a network, you already know the truth. growth always attracts resistance. MTN was no exception, especially post-apartheid. The first major challenge came from the very thing that made MTN powerful: regulation. Telecom infrastructure is deeply political. Every license, every spectrum allocation, and every cross-border expansion required government approval. And when you operate in more than 20 countries, you're not just dealing with markets. You are also profitable dealing with 20 different political systems, each with its own interests, factions, and power brokers. If you live in any of these countries, you've seen how quickly policy can shift and how those shifts can affect your daily life. In Nigeria, MTN's most profitable market, the company faced repeated regulatory battles. From SIM registration crackdowns to fines worth billions, MTN learned that controlling connectivity also meant navigating political storms. And if you're Nigerian, you probably remember the headlines, moments when MTN's future in the country felt uncertain, even though millions depended on its network. Also, remember when they entered the Nigerian market. It was during new changes in leadership and economy for Nigeria. But regulation wasn't the only challenge. MTN also faced geopolitical risk. Expanding into countries like Sudan, Yemen, Syria, Afghanistan, and Iran meant operating in environments shaped by conflict, sanctions, and international pressure. These weren't just business decisions. They were geopolitical calculations. And if you've ever lived in a region affected by instability, you understand how fragile infrastructure becomes when politics and conflict collide. Then came the challenge of competition. As MTN grew, global telecom giants and local operators began fighting for the same markets. In some countries, MTN had to compete against state-owned companies with political backing. In others, they faced multinational corporations with deeper pockets. Every expansion required capital, negotiation, and strategic risk, and every misstep could cost billions. Internally, MTN faced another challenge: scaling its own infrastructure. Building towers, laying fiber, securing the spectrum, and maintaining networks across deserts, rainforests, mountains, and conflict zones required engineering precision and financial discipline. If you've ever struggled to scale a business or manage limited resources, you know how difficult this is. Now imagine doing it across an entire continent, while you are trying to maximize your profit margin. It's not easy. And beneath all of this was the biggest challenge of all: trust. To control connectivity and wealth, MTN needed the trust of governments, regulators, businesses, and millions of everyday users like you. One scandal, one outage, and one political misstep could damage the entire system. So, on the outside, it looks like MTN's rise to success was fast, which is far from the truth. Clearly, the challenges made them very successful, which means they had pivotal turning points. What do you think their turning points were? The turning points. Well, MTN's first crucial turning point came in 1994 during South Africa's transition out of apartheid. A new government, a new constitution, and a new economic direction created both opportunity and uncertainty. When the telecom sector opened to private competition, MCell, the company that would become MTN, had to prove it could operate in a democratic environment where trust, transparency, and national development mattered. If you lived in South Africa during this era, you remember how essential communication became in rebuilding society. MTN's identity was forged in this political transformation. The second major turning point came between 1995 and 1997, when MTN consolidated its position at home. Listing on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange, acquiring Mtel and Transtel, and building a national footprint gave MTN the foundation it needed to expand beyond South Africa. This was the moment MTN stopped being a local operator and became a regional contender. The third major and considerable sizable turning point came in 2001, when MTN entered Nigeria. Winning the $285 million GSM license, led by Irene Charnley, was a high-risk, high-reward move. Nigeria was emerging from military rule, rewriting its economic policies, and rebuilding its institutions. But MTN's bet paid off. If you're Nigerian, you remember the early days. Long queues for SIM cards, the first MTN call in May 2001, and the moment mobile phones became part of everyday life. Nigeria didn't just become a market. It became MTN's backbone. And when they say Nigeria are the giants of Africa, you can see why MTN bet on Nigeria. The fourth interesting turning point came in the mid-2000s, when MTN expanded into high-risk geopolitical markets: Sudan, Yemen, Syria, Afghanistan, and Iran. These weren't just business decisions. They were geopolitical calculations. Conflict, sanctions, and diplomatic tension shaped every move. Most corporations avoided these regions entirely. MTN didn't, operating there forced MTN to evolve into a geopolitical institution capable of managing risk, compliance, and cross-border financial systems. If you've ever lived in a region affected by instability, you know how fragile infrastructure becomes and how powerful the companies that keep it running truly are. Then came the fifth pivotal turning point in 2015, when MTN faced a $5.2 billion fine in Nigeria for failing to disconnect unregistered SIM cards. It was the largest corporate fine in African history. The CEO, Sifiso Dabengwa, resigned. MTN restructured its governance. And the company learned a painful lesson. Controlling connectivity also means navigating political storms. If you were in Nigeria at the time, you remember the tension, because your ability to communicate depended on MTN surviving that crisis. The sixth powerful turning point came in 2020, when COVID-19 reshaped Africa's digital landscape. Data usage exploded. Mobile money adoption accelerated. Remote work and online education became essential. MTN transformed from a telecom provider into critical national infrastructure. If you relied on your phone to work, study, or send money during the pandemic, you felt this shift directly. As what MTN offers was needed, including businesses. The seventh rather intriguing turning point came in 2021, when MTN announced it would exit the Middle East. After 2 decades of geopolitical exposure, MTN made a strategic decision: focus entirely on Africa. This reduced sanctions risk, freed capital, and aligned MTN with African regulators and markets. The risk was not worth the rewards, as the challenges could have cost not only MTN, but you and your businesses had they continued, especially in Iran. The eighth empowering turning point came in 2022, when MTN became Africa's largest fintech platform. Mobile money evolved into a multi-billion-dollar ecosystem powering cross-border payments, merchant services, and digital wallets. If you've ever sent money, paid a bill, or run a business through mobile money, you've experienced this transformation firsthand. The ninth turning point came in 2022 and 2023, when MTN began preparing to list its fintech division. Separating the business unlocked massive valuation potential and attracted global investors. MTN was no longer just a telecom operator. It was becoming a financial institution. The 10th very important and impressive turning point came in 2023, when MTN launched its API and platform economy strategy. This shifted MTN from a network operator to a digital ecosystem, offering cloud services, enterprise solutions, and developer tools. The 11th turning point came in 2024, when new regulatory pressures emerged across Africa: stricter SIM laws, data privacy rules, and fintech regulations. MTN had to adapt again, proving that regulatory navigation is a permanent part of its identity. The 12th turning point came in 2025, when MTN accelerated its investment in 5G, fiber, data centers, and cloud infrastructure. This marked MTN's evolution into a technology infrastructure provider, the backbone of Africa's digital economy. And the final major turning point comes in 2026, where MTN stands today, a continental digital powerhouse controlling connectivity, financial rails, and digital infrastructure across multiple countries. Whether you're sending money, running a business, or simply trying to stay connected, you are operating inside a system shaped by these turning points and by the institution MTN has become. So with all these major and impressive turning points, they needed strategies. Not just any type of strategies, but well thought out long-term strategic steps. But what do you think are strategic steps MTN took? The strategies. As you can tell by now, MTN didn't become Africa's most powerful telecom empire by sheer luck. It became one because, at every stage of its growth, it deployed strategies that matched the political climate, the economic landscape, and the technological realities of the continent. And if you've ever tried to build something across different environments, you already know in order for you and your business to thrive, So, the first phase of MTN strategy began in 1994 and 1999, right after apartheid. MTN focused on building national infrastructure inside South Africa. This meant acquiring smaller operators like Imtel and Transtel, expanding coverage, and positioning itself as a partner in rebuilding the country. If you lived in South Africa during this era, you saw how essential communication became, and MTN made itself part of that national transformation. The second strategic phase emerged between 2000 and 2005, when MTN shifted from a domestic operator to a Pan-African expansion machine. The company targeted high-population markets, starting with Nigeria in 2001. This wasn't random. MTN understood that controlling connectivity in Africa required scale, and Nigeria offered scale like no other. If you're Nigerian, you lived through this strategy, the rollout of towers, the queues for SIM cards, and the moment MTN became part of your daily routine. The third strategic phase unfolded between 2005 and 2014, when MTN pursued a bold and controversial plan: enter high-risk geopolitical markets. Iran, Syria, Sudan, Yemen, and Afghanistan. These were not easy environments. But MTN's strategy was clear: go where competitors fear to go, gain market share, and build influence. This move transformed MTN from a telecom company into a geopolitical institution. You don't know unless you try. The fourth strategic phase began after the 2015 Nigeria fine, when MTN adopted a governance and regulatory reset strategy. The company strengthened compliance, restructured leadership, and rebuilt trust with governments. If you were in Nigeria at the time, you remember how tense that period was and how critical MTN's regulatory strategy became. If you did not feel it, then you need to know how critical it was for MTN, as Nigeria is an extremely large market, not just for personal use, but for business customers. The fifth strategic phase emerged in 2020, when COVID-19 accelerated Africa's digital adoption. MTN responded with a digital infrastructure strategy, expanding data capacity, supporting remote work, and scaling mobile money. If you relied on your phone during the pandemic, you felt this strategy directly. The sixth strategic phase came in 2021, when MTN announced an Africa-only strategy, exiting the Middle East to reduce sanctions risk and refocus capital on African markets. The seventh strategic phase unfolded in 2022 to 2023, when MTN built Africa's largest fintech ecosystem, prepared for a fintech IPO, and attracted global investment. The eighth and final strategic phase, from 2023 and 2026, is MTN's platform and digital infrastructure strategy: APIs, cloud services, fiber, 5G, and data centers. This is the strategy that turned MTN into a continental digital powerhouse. These strategies didn't just build a company. They built the system you live in today. And this is why there are so many ways you can learn from them. But what have you learned so far from MTN that you will apply for yourself and your business? Because MTN's success is a story where you can definitely learn and emulate their success, even if your journey is different. So the first lesson is about timing. MTN entered South Africa at the exact moment the country was rebuilding its identity. It entered Nigeria at the exact moment the economy was opening. It entered high-risk markets when competitors were afraid. Timing isn't luck, it's awareness. If you've ever hesitated on an opportunity, you know how costly bad timing can be. So be bold, take action, because you and your business will benefit from being at the right place at the right time. The second lesson is MTN understood early that telecom is also political. Whoever controls communication controls influence, and whoever controls influence controls negotiation. Whether you're running a business or navigating your career, you've seen this. Power flows to those who control the infrastructure others depend on. MTN didn't chase power. It built the systems that power flows through. So you can go toe-to-toe with those in politics, even through and past tension. Just remember, if your business is offering a need, you have an advantage. The third lesson is MTN didn't rely on one revenue stream. It layered voice, data, fintech, enterprise services, and digital platforms. Wealth grows through diversification, not dependence. If you've ever relied on one income source, you know how vulnerable that feels. These multiple revenue streams came out of understanding the company's value. So don't be afraid to constantly find ways to make more money from your business, as one stream could soon be obsolete or a competitor takes a massive market share beyond your control. When that happens, you are ahead of the curve. The fourth lesson is, MTN entered markets with conflict, sanctions, and political instability. Most companies avoided them, but MTN understood a simple truth. High reward lives behind high discomfort. If you've ever taken a risk that scared you, you understand this instinct. Don't be scared. Do not worry, because if you feel there is a market there, then try. Business is about solving problems, even political ones that impact economies. The fifth lesson is MTN never saw itself as just a telecom operator. It saw itself as an institution, a builder of infrastructure, a financial system, and a digital backbone. Identity shapes ambition, and ambition shapes outcomes. If you see yourself as small, you will build small. MTN built big because it believed it was meant to. So how do you see yourself, big or small? And the final lesson is MTN didn't win because it moved fast. It won because it built systems that kept working long after the initial decisions were made. So the real question is, what system are you building for your future? And which of these lessons will you definitely be applying? As when you look at MTN today, Africa's most powerful telecom empire, a company that shapes connectivity and influences wealth across the continent, it's easy to forget how uncertain its beginning truly was. Every empire looks inevitable in hindsight, but if you've ever built anything of your own, you know the truth. Nothing is guaranteed. Everything is earned. And MTN earned its place through moments that could have ended its story before it even began. So when MTN started in 1994 in South Africa trying to rebuild itself after apartheid, if you lived through that era, you'd remember the tension, the fear, the hope, the feeling that the country was writing its identity in real time. MTN was born inside that uncertainty. It learned to operate in a world where trust was fragile and the future was unpredictable. That pressure shaped its character. Then came Nigeria in 2001, a market so large, so chaotic, so full of potential that most companies hesitated. But MTN didn't. And if you're Nigerian, you remember those early years, the queues, the excitement, the frustration, the possibility. MTN wasn't just selling SIM cards. It was giving people access to connection, opportunity, and a new kind of freedom. Nigeria didn't just become a market. It became one of MTN's biggest markets. The story intensifies in the mid-2000s when MTN entered conflict zones and in sanctioned regions, places where most corporations refused to operate. Iran, Syria, Sudan, Yemen, Afghanistan. If you've ever taken a risk that terrified you, you understand what this phase felt like. MTN stepped into environments where one wrong move could erase everything. That's not strategy alone. That's courage, where many wouldn't even dare out of fear alone. Then came 2015, the $5.2 billion fine in Nigeria, a moment that could have shattered the entire empire. If you were in Nigeria at the time, you remember the tension. MTN's survival wasn't guaranteed, but it didn't break. It rebuilt. This became the catalyst for what was next. Exiting out of Middle Eastern countries. Political ties could make or break institutions like MTN. And finally, the 2020s, where MTN transformed again through COVID, through digital acceleration, through fintech, and through infrastructure. If you relied on your phone during that period, you felt this evolution directly. So when you see MTN today, the digital backbone of a continent, remember this: its power wasn't handed to it. It was earned through pressure, uncertainty, and resilience. Which makes you wonder, what is the main principle during MTN's journey? The principle. Because if there's one thing MTN's journey makes clear, it's that real power doesn't come from reacting to the world. It comes from shaping it. Every major decision MTN made, from post-apartheid South Africa to the chaos of early 2000s Nigeria, to the geopolitical storms of the Middle East, to the digital revolution of the 2020s, was driven by one principle: build for the future, not the moment. This principle is what separated MTN from every competitor who played it safe. While others waited for stability, MTN built in uncertainty. While others avoided risk, MTN stepped into markets that terrified the industry. And while others focused on short-term wins, MTN built systems that would outlive entire economic cycles. If you've ever felt pressure to play small because the present feels unstable, you already understand why this principle matters. As in 1994, MTN built for a future where South Africa needed national infrastructure. In 2001, it built for a future where Nigeria would become the beating heart of African connectivity and the hub of African entrepreneurship. In the mid-2000s, it was built for a future where communication would matter even in conflict zones, where sanctions from superpowers countries were apparent. In 2015, it was rebuilt for a future where governance and compliance would define corporate survival. And, in the 2020s, it was built for a future where fintech, digital ecosystems, and infrastructure would shape the continent's wealth. Every step was a bet on tomorrow, not today. And that's the lesson you can take with you. If you're building a business, a career, or a legacy, you already know how easy it is to get trapped in what feels urgent. But urgency doesn't build empires. Systems do. Vision does. The willingness to build for a future that hasn't arrived yet does. MTN didn't wait for the continent to be ready. It built the infrastructure that made the continent ready, providing a need that is necessary because the truth is simple. The world rewards those who prepare for what's coming, not those who cling to what's comfortable. MTN didn't chase power. It built the rails that power depends on. It didn't chase wealth. It built the systems that wealth flows through. And it didn't chase influence. It built the networks that influence travels on. That's how MTN became Africa's most powerful telecom empire. That's how it came to control connectivity and shapes wealth. And that's how it built its rise from nothing into a continental institution. So,